Have you ever stopped to think about why we are here? What if I told you that what we think is real might not be real at all? Allow us to imagine for a moment that everything we see, hear, and feel could be a part of a complex simulation. The idea may sound like something from a science fiction book, but it's a theory that has interested philosophers, scientists, and thinkers from ancient times to the present. What if the universe, with all of its beauty and complexity, is just a large computer program? Let's look into this crazy idea and find out why the notion that we reside in a computer-generated universe is becoming more popular. This interesting idea, called simulation theory, has been around for a long time. This idea comes from the ancient knowledge of cultures all over the world. It has changed over thousands of years to become part of modern philosophical and scientific debates. Nick Bostrom, a philosopher from Oxford University, wrote an interesting paper in 2003 that sparked a new debate about our possible simulated existence. It is the most important new contribution to this theory made in recent years. Bostrom's work challenges our ideas about what reality is and suggests a number of possibilities that could explain how the universe really works. According to Bostrom and the work of Dolores, a well-known hypnotherapist and author, who is known for exploring the mysteries of life and reality, there are three possible truths about who we are. The first possibility says that civilizations will always end before they get the technology they need to make these kinds of simulations. The second idea says that advanced societies might be able to make simulations but choose not to for moral or other reasons. The third and most disturbing possibility is that we are really living in a simulation and all of our thoughts and actions are planned out by algorithms that we can't even understand. As her groundbreaking books suggest, Cannon's extensive research and writings go deeper into these ideas, giving us fresh perspectives about what consciousness is and how there might be more than one reality. Cannon has found evidence that supports the idea that the universe is multidimensional using her unique quantum healing hypnosis technique, and this has made the conversation about the simulation hypothesis more interesting. As we stand on the edge of the digital age, where virtual realities are becoming more and more like our own, the question still stands. Are we the architects of our own lives, or are we just characters in the ancestral simulation of a more advanced civilization? Bostrom's theoretical musings and Cannon's studies of the subconscious mind may hold the answers, which makes us think about what we really know about how the world works. The idea of simulation theory isn't just something that can be talked about in scientific circles. As we learn more about it, this idea doesn't come from math models or physical laws. It comes from the metaphysical and asks what existence is all about. Before the universe as we know it came into being, there was a state without space or time. It was called a singularity, and it was where everything that would ever be was gathered together. The Big Bang was the violent start of the universe. It spread space, time, and matter across the empty space. After 14 billion years, we are now in a world full of galaxies, planets, and complicated life. But what came before this creation of the universe? An interesting question that ties together science and religion goes beyond the scientific explanations of quantum anomalies and dark energy. What caused the Big Bang? The religious view suggests a divine act, but both the scientific and religious views try to explain the mystery of before. The simulation hypothesis says that the universe was already there, but it was dormant and waiting to be activated. Think of our universe as a computer program. The laws that govern everything, from the basic constants of physics to the forces of nature, are carefully coded into it. This show describes the speed of light, the structure of space-time, and even the very core of consciousness. But how can we prove that such a hypothesis is true? In a simulated reality, one might expect glitches and other strange things to happen that would make it seem like it's not real. Because of his own visionary experiences, the famous science fiction author Philip K. Dick suggested that there are many realities that overlap. Many movies based on his books look at how these parallel universes interact with each other, suggesting that our reality may only be one layer of many. The Mandela effect makes a strong case for these glitches, in which people's memories and what we know about the past don't match up. Many people remember Nelson Mandela's death incorrectly, And there are strange references in pop culture that many people swear are true. These strange events make us wonder about the nature of our reality. Could these shared misunderstandings be proof of realities that overlap or maybe changes in our simulation? If this theory is true, it makes us think that our lives, the universe, and everything we believe to be true may all be part of a complicated, made-up story. People often forget things, which is called the Mandela effect, and it's a very interesting puzzle. It's a thing that happens when a lot of people remember things differently than they really happened. From the fact that Jiffy peanut butter doesn't exist to the strange pronunciation of the Flintstones, these differences between what we remember and what is true make us question what we think we know. For example, many people insist on a certain design for the Fruit of the Loom logo, one that has a cornucopia, but that design has never existed. It's the same with the ending of Moonraker, a famous James Bond movie. Many people think that Jaws' girlfriend has braces, which is not true. Some people remember these events very clearly, while others have no idea what happened. This makes me wonder if these differences in memory are just random or if they point to something more important. Science fiction author Philip K. Dick had the brilliant idea that déjà vu and the Mandela effect might be signs of changes happening in a computer-generated world. Dick says that these moments of familiarity or glaring misrememberings could be signs of changes going on beneath the surface of our simulated reality. According to this theory, déjà vu happens when the simulation updates or fixes itself, adding new information that makes you feel like you've already been through something. Even though these ideas are interesting, skeptics say that the mind is naturally flawed and can make up memories or fill in blanks with wrong information. But the fact that the universe around us is so big and seems to be empty gives some weight to the idea of a simulated universe. Given the huge number of stars and the possibility of planets with life, the Fermi paradox and the Drake equation say that the universe is very quiet. Are we really alone, or is it just that our program isn't set up to detect life beyond Earth? The physical laws that govern our universe, especially the limits on the speed of light, add to the idea that our reality is being simulated. A cosmologist named Max Tegmark said that these laws were very precise, comparing them to the limits that are set in a computer game to keep explorers from going too far. A theoretical physicist named James Gates, who used to be skeptical of simulation theory, found error-correcting codes in the equations of string theory that look a lot like computer code. This suggests that there is a digital framework underneath. In 2017, scientists showed that it was possible to put computer code into DNA strands. This made the boundaries between the digital and biological worlds less clear. There seems to be an underlying order based on the mathematical patterns found in nature, especially the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio. The Fibonacci sequence can be seen in the way petals are arranged on flowers and in the way galaxies are shaped like spirals. This pattern could mean that the natural world has a designer or, at the very least, is very structured, which could mean that it is a simulation. From the mysterious Mandela effect to the mathematical beauty of nature, there is evidence that makes us think that what we think we know about existence might only be the surface of a much deeper, more complex reality. The petals on each flower are arranged in a way that follows the golden ratio. This shows how mathematically accurate nature is. In both plants and animals, the number of branches that grow in a tree follows the Fibonacci sequence. For example, the ratio of female honeybees to male honeybees in a colony is equal to 1.618, which is the golden ratio. The human body follows the golden ratio with one nose, 2 eyes, 3 segments of limbs, and 5 fingers or toes on each hand and foot. This ratio is shown by the lengths of our arms and hands, from the shoulder blade to the elbow and from the elbow to the fingertips. DNA molecules are 34 angstroms long and 21 angstroms wide, which is another example of how Fibonacci numbers and the golden ratio are built into everything in the universe. Some people say that the fact that Fibonacci numbers show up so often is just a coincidence, and that people are naturally drawn to find patterns in the chaos of nature. However, this argument supports simulation theory without meaning to. When you look at the universe as a whole, or at the quantum world, it's clear that everything follows certain patterns and rules. This suggests that reality is programmed. Based on Moore's law, technological progress means that computer power doubles about every 18 months. Even though it's hard to do, this trend has been going on for decades. With all the progress being made, it's possible that AI will be smarter than humans within the next 100 years. Elon Musk thinks about how video games have changed over time, from the simple Pong to today's simulations that look almost like real life. He also thinks about what the future of virtual reality could be like. To simulate a whole universe, a huge amount of computing power is needed, and an unimaginable amount of data needs to be stored and processed. To do this, either a lot of Dyson spheres or black holes would have to be used to produce energy. Some people, like Dr. Michio Kaku, say that such a simulation is not possible because the only thing that could simulate the universe is the universe itself. But this view doesn't take into account how simulations work. For example, in video games, the environment is rendered based on the player's view. This makes me think that if our reality is a simulation, a similar method of selective rendering could be used. This idea makes it more likely that these kinds of selective rendering effects can be tested, especially with experiments like the double-slit experiment. With the double-slit experiment, we were able to see that electrons can behave like both particles and waves, which goes against what we thought they could do. This event gives us a hint at the workings of a simulated universe, in which reality itself changes based on what we see. This means that the rules of a big cosmic simulation may affect how we understand the real world and our own consciousness. Scientists have been puzzled for a long time by the strange effect of particles acting differently when they are observed in quantum experiments. In the 1960s, a change to the original double-slit experiment showed that an interference pattern still showed up even when electrons were fired one at a time, which eliminated any chance of them interacting. This strange result led researchers to use detectors to watch the electrons move through the slits. This led to an even stranger discovery. Just looking at it changed the result from an interference pattern to a clumping pattern, suggesting a deep link between how we look at things and how particles behave. John Wheeler's delayed choice experiment, which showed that photons changed their state based on whether they were observed, made this mystery even bigger. Our understanding of time and cause and effect is called into question by the idea that particles could change their minds in response to what will happen in the future. These kinds of events suggest that reality is controlled by an intelligence or program, which supports the simulation theory argument. As we look deeper into the universe and see light from galaxies millions of light years away, we come across the idea of retrocausality. This means that what we do now seems to change the way light particles were in the past. This idea, which sounds like the logic used in video game programming, says that the universe might put computing efficiency first and only show what can be seen. This idea, along with the fact that quantum mechanics goes against classical physics, supports the simulation theory by pointing to a reality that was planned and limited in certain ways. The Big Bang, Fermi's paradox, the lack of extraterrestrial life, and the strange behavior of UFOs can all be explained through the lens of simulation theory, which brings up the ultimate question of who created everything. We are at a point where this speculation brings together science and spirituality, making us think about what it means to be alive. Are we living in the real world, or are we part of a complex simulation made by a higher intelligence? Maybe something like what many people call God. This thought-provoking piece engages simulation theory and religious belief in an interesting conversation, with each offering a unique view on the beginning of time, our existence, and the afterlife. Some people think that these ideas can't go together, but they all have to do with creation, purpose, and the search for understanding. As we look into these theories, they remind us of how complicated our universe is and how many things could happen that we don't understand yet.